My goodness, hello and welcome to I Am the Patient. I am just a licensed therapist who had to build up the self esteem and literally complete my workday just to record this. And honestly, I haven't even eaten one meal today. Am I healing? Maybe. Am I struggling? Always. Welcome to I Am the Patient. Raw conversations, real feelings, and no copay. This is Am I the Patient? Welcome, OMG. I am starting a podcast. Here I am. My name is Miss J, and honestly, I think if I have a surprise co-host or if I have a guest on. I'm thinking of keeping our names kind of, I don't know, anonymous in a way, which I think would be pretty cool. I am Miss J. I am a licensed therapist. I am a licensed professional counselor. I am a therapist in therapy. I have my own mental health struggles. I I recently switched jobs. So I'm doing something completely different out of my comfort zone. So that's been an adjustment. I'm also in a new relationship. And I don't know, we celebrated a year not too long ago. And some people might say, hey, no, that's not, that's not new. But for me, honestly, it is. And a year it's a long time to be with someone, but it also is it's a short time as well. So I feel like I'm still adjusting, being partnered with a human. It's weird. So that's just a little bit about me. But why am I creating this podcast? Well, because sometimes I'm in therapy myself, and I think to myself, am I the patient? One of the reasons why I actually took myself to therapy. But I'll be sitting with a client and I'm like, wait a minute. I think I need the advice that I just gave to you. So you know what? I am the patient. Like literally. So it's a play on the tropes. Am I the jerk or am I the a-hole, or those little fun little things that you've seen like in social media, which is kind of the tone that I want to give to this podcast, talking about social media and mental health and just all the things that impact the culture, because I am a person of color. So there's lots of topics that I have in mind, lots of things that I want to delve into. And I just want it to be just, like what I said, raw conversations and real feelings, except there's no copay. So that's why I titled it, Am I the Patient? Because sometimes the therapist can be the patient and the roles are flipped. And it's like, oh my gosh, that's me. So, and it's coming from a therapist perspective too. And I think that sometimes gets lost when you are looking up any type of mental health advice on the internet, a TikTok, my goodness, or just being in therapy yourself or the idea of therapy. But, what is it like from the therapist perspective? So that's what I'm also bringing to the table. So that's, yeah, we're going to have a good time, I think. But that's just me. So I just want to talk about like what this podcast will be and what it won't be, what it is and what it isn't. So this is going to be a place for just emotionally honest conversations. I want it to be as real as raw as possible. It might get a little messy. It might get a little traumatic. It might be a little funny because humor cures the soul. There's going to be a little therapist tea. Like, I want it to be really just real. And I just want it for people who are doing the work, but also who are into pop culture, who likes memes, who likes mood boards, and microdosing boundaries, like a little nugget of, therapeuticness in there. I don't want it to be a place where you're getting a clinical diagnosis. So this is not therapy, and it's not to take place of therapy. It's also not me giving you medical advice. This is just for entertainment purposes and educational purposes. So it's not here. I'm not here to give you a clinical diagnosis. I'm also not here to be preachy. Like, I don't want to tell you what to do and I don't know, be cliche and say, make sure you drink your water. Like, I don't want it to be that. I don't want it to be lectury. I don't want it to be a TED talk. I really don't want that vibe at all. Like I said, I don't want it to be a substitute for therapy. So if you are struggling, please reach out. I do want to have an episode where I do give out resources and stuff that's accessible, even if you can't afford it, because trust me, I know how expensive therapy is. And when I say it's expensive, oh my gosh, it's expensive. Even sometimes when you have insurance, and insurance in the US is such a scam. I didn't realize how much of a scam it is. It is, and was, until I became a therapist. And then the realm of medical insurance came to light to me. It all just started to make sense. And I'm just like, oh my goodness, all of that is a scam. What is happening? But literally, that's another story for another time. I'm telling you, my eyes were open and I'm just like, this is ridiculous. So I know it's expensive. I know I've heard it a million times. I've seen it. I live it literally every day. So, that's another topic also for another day. It can be inaccessible. So, I know that's difficult, but in the same breath, this podcast is not a substitute for therapy. So I just want to remind you guys of that. And then of course, this is not going to be for perfection. We're just going to talk about progress. We're going to have different perspectives. I want to hear your perspectives and just a little bit of pettiness when we need it. Okay. Just a skosh. Just a skosh. I am one of the people where I love some tea. I love some good tea. But that's why I'm a therapist. So it makes sense, right? I am so nosy. You have no idea. I just love being in everybody's business. And when I tell you, that's probably one of the best and most shocking parts of my job. And it's not when, of course you get different, you get the clients who come in every week and you hear their stories, you hear their struggles. And the weeks might be the same. There might be an off week where something's different. But when you get a new client and you see them in the waiting room, this is what goes through my head is oh, this looks like a lovely person. And then you get them and honestly, here's a little tidbit. I almost named this podcast Behind Closed Doors because I thought that was a cool title as well. But as I was brainstorming and putting it together, it didn't really sound, I don't know, it's a therapy podcast. It just sounded I don't know, some trauma or some horror stuff. And I was just maybe not the best route. But when you get that person behind closed doors and it's just you and the client in this confidential space, and then they tell you the reason why they're in therapy, the reason why, they're quote unquote broken right now, why they're struggling. And it is you never know what someone is going through. You can look at a person on the street, you can pass someone in a car, you can pass a person in a grocery store, and you say hi, they might say hi, you might not say hi because you might be struggling. They might give you some eye contact, They might not give you eye contact. Like, you just don't, you don't know, you know, you cross paths with people every day. Someone at the cash register, or just, I don't know, the mailman. Like, and you know, and you just don't know what people are going through. You don't know what's going on in their brain, and vice versa. People don't know what's going on with you. And that also begs a conversation for a different day too, of like the mask that we put on for different people or for the world when we're struggling. I just think is yeah, probably a topic for another day. But it's just, it's so, I can't think of a different word except amazing, but it is really, really, really amazing. Like, I can't think of a different word, but it really is, just to see a person and not know what they're going through. And then I get that person and I'm like, hey, so what brings you to therapy? And they just spill out all of this. And it's funny too, because sometimes the clients will be like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't want to, you know, just come in here and just dump this all. And I'm like, well, if you're going to dump it anywhere, right here is the place to do it. So I always commend my clients for that. So it's wild, but I do love my job. And like I was saying earlier, I did switch jobs, so I'm in a bit of a different role. So I don't get to do that one-on-one therapy anymore, which is probably why I'm also doing this podcast, just to, I don't know, keep my therapy skills locked. I don't know. But yeah, it's just, it's a bizarre and amazing experience altogether. But like I said, I love it. So I don't think I would I was gonna say I don't think I would change jobs. I've always wanted to be a teacher. But that's literally a different story for another day. I don't know. I always thought teaching was cool, but whatever. So anyway, keeping this podcast moving. So, you know what? I'm going to talk about a time where so this is literally like my am I the patient moment. So I don't even remember. Honestly, I don't even remember what client it was, or I remember what I told them to do. All I know is that they were writing a letter to someone in session. And sometimes when I'm in session and I have a client do something, depending on what it is, I would also do the activity. I did it a lot with kiddos for sure. But sometimes with adults, if, because it's just awkward just kind of having them do something. Well, at least to me it was. So I would put on like some soothing music or have them do something. And then sometimes I would elect to do the activity as well. So in this case, that was probably a mistake, because I had them, like I said, I don't know what was the reason, the context, but I had them write a letter to someone. I don't even know if it was a relative now that I'm thinking about it. But like I said, I don't know. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to write one too. Let me just go ahead and do it too. So I ended up writing a letter to my dad, which was a choice because, long story short, I've grown up in a single parent household. My mom was a single mom. I have not had a lot of interaction with my father. I may have seen him as a baby. I don't even know. I could probably ask my mom. But as a child or / teenager, probably once. And when, I don't want to go off on a tangent, because then I'll start opening up wounds that I'm not ready to on this podcast, because this is just the introduction episode. But when you sit and think about it, just imagine, okay, and we're not going to get off track here, but just take a second, pause, think about the parent or the guardian that you grew up with. That could be your mom, that could be your dad, that could be an adoptive parent, it could be your grandparents, it could be an aunt. That significant guardian in your life. And if you didn't have that, just think of, I don't know, someone who you grew up with. Maybe it was a sibling of someone, or maybe a lifelong friend. Regardless, whoever that was, think of a significant person and imagine that person being yanked out of your life and thinking about all the memories that you had with them never existed. Just think that it never existed and that you only saw that person like once or twice in your life. Like, it never feels good thinking about, damn, I don't have a dad. Even now, I'm kind of like tearing up, which is why I was like, I don't want to go into it. Because I'm working through something different in therapy. And I know, just because of this is why this is the I am the patient moment. This is something that I haven't quite worked through yet. I brought it up before, but it's just not the work that is pressing in my life right now. So it is something that's on the back burner, and I know I'll have to deal with it at some point or another, but it hurts. So I had this client write this letter, and I was like, oh, dolly dole, I'm gonna also write a letter to my dad, and maybe next episode, if I can remember, and you guys can humble me and help me remember. If I find that letter, I can I'll try and be vulnerable and read it on the podcast. But getting back on track, I'm gonna take a sip of water. I had my client write the letter, and then I was writing a letter to my dad, and I was like, damn, this is some unresolved hurt. To the point where I was like tearing up in session. I'm like, yep, I'm gonna have to address that. And that's when I realized, you know what? I am the patient. So if you have any moments like that, when you interacting with a friend or interacting with your therapist, I mean, at that point, obviously you are the patient because you have a therapist. But if you're interacting with the family member or with a friend or with a coworker or etc., and I don't know, or even if you like ever ghosted your therapist, but you gave your ex 5 more chances, like, come on now. Just like, you might be the patient, you know? And that's okay. And that's why we're here. Okay. I'm going to take a deep breath. And we're going to get back on track. So, I'm excited for this podcast. I'm excited. I have a few episodes kind of lined up already. I when I tell you I put a lot of back end planning into this before I started this, like you have no idea. I don't know, maybe because I'm kind of anal like that, which could be something to unpack later, but I put a lot of preparation into this before I started to actually just like turn on the mic and press record, you know? So I do have some plans for some future episodes. I have one centered around emotional labor and how it costs extra. Why is your strong friend secretly tired? Or is that strong friend you? I also have one titled Diagnosed by TikTok. Because as a therapist, all my therapists know people will come into session and they have diagnosed themselves by TikTok because they seen a TikTok and they seen a clip and like, you know what? This is what I have now. So diagnosed by TikTok, helpful or harmful when 60-second clips feel like therapy. I also want to do an episode about, I titled it The Hood Don't Do Therapy, but why? So that'll be a talk about culture, stigma, trauma, survival, systemic failure. Oh my gosh. That one can get real deep. I'll really have to plan that one because I don't want it to be too long of a podcast, but that one deserves such a thorough deep dive. And I think I'm most excited about that one. I have another one titled Healing on a Budget. So like I said, I want to give you some resources that just aren't trash, some good ones that you can lean on. Because like I said, therapy is expensive. So what can we do instead? You have this podcast, and you'll have some resources from me. And of course, more Am I the Patient moments. I'm going to try my hardest to be vulnerable for you all, just to show you that you're not alone. Sometimes it may feel like it, but you're really not alone. I promise you, you're not. So that wraps up the first episode. This is a very introductory episode, and I want to hear from you guys. I want to keep you engaged. I want to have you listen. So I want you to subscribe. Please follow the podcast. My goodness. Leave a review if you're already vibing, please. But if you need more time, that's okay. We got more episodes. If you want to be featured on the podcast, if you have a story, if you have a confession, if you have, I don't know, just something you want to profess, a question, anything, please leave a story. There is a link to my Linktree. Let me see if I have the link right now that I can pull up. But in my Linktree, there is a Google form that you can use, and it'll have a walkthrough of like, what's your name? If you want to be anonymous, you can be anonymous. Whatever you want to profess. And then if you would want your story or question or whatever submitted to the podcast. So that's an option. The Linktree, I think it's just linktree.com/am I the patient pod. Let's look really quick. I want to get it for you in this episode. I know it'll be linked somewhere, but I want to have it set in stone. Like I told you, I have all of this set up already. I put in a lot of preparation on the back end. So it's Linktree. Well, it's weird. It's linktr.ee/am I the patient pod. So that's linktr.ee/am I the patient pod. And like I said, in that Linktree, there's a link to share your story. There's obviously a link to the podcast, my YouTube channel, and my TikTok. So, yeah. I am so excited. I can't wait to hear from you guys. Next week, we're going to get into emotional labor. We're going to talk about why it's unpaid, unappreciated, and why is it still being handed to the same people over and over again. It's ridiculous. And guess what? Emotional labor costs extra. It really does. So I hope you guys liked it. I hope you guys stay tuned. That's all I have for you for this week. for you all this week. And just remember, if you're in crisis or you need support, please text or call the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. It is 988 if you live in the U.S. That's it. Just remember you're not alone. And like I said, while I'm a licensed therapist, this podcast is only for educational and entertainment purposes only and is not a substitute for professional therapy or medical advice. I love you guys, and I will see you next week. Bye.